Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Batman Arkham Asylum. I'm still not sure if this game actually is called Batman Arkham Asylum or not. Like, I'm not sure if the Batman is there. We're in a weird position with this map in particular because we basically are going to have to run back through an area we had already been, which is weird because we haven't had to do that with anything else. Then you have these little sequences where you're running and jumping over things, but then there's something to notice about the fact that he'll just grab ledges. Like Batman has this perching ability he does, but he'll just like grab ledges a lot of times too. So if you actually want him to jump, you have to be holding down A to put him in run mode, where honestly I would prefer it just to be a left stick click to toggle run mode, and then from that point you could run or jump with A always and run just as a disconnected system. It seems like there's maybe some people around here, but not quite in this area. So you have this kind of empty area that doesn't really make sense unless you are going to, unless it wants us to go back to like Amusement Mile, because this doesn't even connect to that. So there's kind of nothing here, isn't there? I don't think I'm ever going to... Interesting. Exit this way, exit that way, exit up that way. And that really does feel like it's just going to take us back up. Which this other path would have taken us back up too, so... And like this is not even hackable. Like I'm just gonna pull up the radio on that, which honestly it feels like that should be just a separate system. So I don't know if we were supposed to maybe get back to this area later or what. And maybe we're gonna run through every area twice. That's the only thing that really makes any sense. Is there actually anybody even in this room? I don't think there is. Remember, we couldn't, because of the being jammed, we couldn't do any of these sections, and they've overloaded too many sections now. That was the security level 1 area, which I don't know if that really matters much. Let's see, there's the way out, and there's the way we came, and that was the door. Let's see, if we were to run to this section, like I don't remember what was here. Yeah, it says there's a collectible somewhere around here, but I totally don't see it. So it's probably higher up or lower down, because I'm fairly certain we did get something in this area. This second game would have been the point where they should have improved the controls. A should just be jump. Shouldn't have to double tap A to potentially jump in the center there. Wow, look at those leaves. That just animated like perfectly for the gust of wind. We're getting a lot of save points. Side mission has just magically appeared.
Tiger Command, this is Air Tiger 7. We are approaching the designated location. The alleyway is empty.
Alright. Let's get out of here. Quickly. So
Bane get to be in Arkham City.
So you just on this side mission, as far as this new acts of violence, you would have just heard that on the radio, and that would have brought you to a dead body.
The crime scene to determine the cause of death.
Some kind of vomit, or
the attack left the victim bleeding profusely. The murderer is likely to have trace elements of the blood on them without realizing. The victim's face has been removed and the head wrapped in bandages. There have been 3 murders in Gotham over the last month with the same MO. The press have nicknamed the killer the Identity Thief. If he's now in Arkham City, I need to track him down and stop him. I'll filter the scanner to track the victim's blood particles. That should lead me to the last person to see the victim alive. Maybe even the killer himself.
so we're doing this. This was in the first game. We did this way earlier in the first game, and it was kind of a boring experience. And we're not in detective mode now. We're in its own little unique special mode. That being said, it's still not good graphics.
Why do they keep finding these creeps?
Batman! He's here! You're gonna die, Batman!
And see, I get the idea that Batman is called the world's greatest detective, but it's just straight up a lie at this point. Batman never does really any detective work in the comics. Like, comic books only have a certain number of pages, and honestly, that's probably the problem with comic books in general, is that they need to have much larger teams of animators doing a Walt Disney style movie animation production that they can create a 2-hour experience or the equivalent in book form, instead of there I was able to use the layout of the area to my advantage there. And see, now this detective mode is this different mode. And see, while you're doing this, you're pretty much just going to walk up to people who are going to be willing to fight you.
We have 0 visual on Batman.
It's funny, it's shining a light on me saying they have 0 visuals on Batman.
Batman is clear. All freaks are down.
So the game just glitched there and said the wrong thing. Ballistic armor. I think we upgrade that. And I should have double checked before hitting that button to make sure that that was a Batman upgrade and not a Catwoman upgrade. So I feel like the 100% increase in the level of protection really just means you're doubling the amount of protection. There's different ways you can run the number, certainly, to make it seem like 100% is more or less. Yep. So this just took us to a political prisoner. We saw one person that his face was all bandaged and he was holding on to a box. And so he may also be a victim of the identity thief, and I wouldn't be surprised, knowing what I know, if this isn't just a case of more fake Jokers being made.
Why did you kill him?
It wasn't me. I'm not a killer. I'm a plumber, for God's sake. You've got to believe me.
I don't have to believe anything. Tell me what you saw.
There was this guy. He dropped the body there. He was weird looking. You won't believe me, but, well, he looked like Bruce Wayne.
What?
I know. Someone must have got to him. He was covered in cuts and bruises, but I'm sure it was him. The poor guy must have had a target the size of Gotham City painted on him. Looked like he'd been attacked by pretty much everyone in Arkham.
There may be more victims of the identity thief in Arkham City. I should look out for them.
So, yeah, looking like Bruce Wayne. In a lot of ways, that's probably just Thomas Wayne, another comic story that would have been going around this time. And I'm not like an expert at Batman or anything. I tried to read the DC New 52 when it first came out, or relatively shortly after it first came out, and by the time I had tried to read most of the New 52, they had already decided to reboot the DC universe yet again, and it, with a little bit more research, became fairly obvious that the DC in general and Marvel is not as bad of this, but DC in particular loves to reset things. So there's two more things you have to stand on over in this direction. So, yeah, but I definitely know enough about Batman as a series. Like, I don't even think it's really, like, I suppose if you're in a fight already, it might be worth it, particularly if you could find these smaller groups of people to try and knock them out in smaller groups. Like, taking out that group of three gave me 75 XP, so not really a considerable amount. Let's see. Yep, and I bet the Riddler Trophy, yeah, it's way up here. It's this weird one that seems like we wouldn't really ever be able to get.
Batman spotted.
You said Batman couldn't get past the jammers.
The bat's here.
We've lost sight of Batman. I repeat, target is missing.
You don't stand a chance against us.
So we now have some Blade characters to think about. But we have to be careful as far as the Blade dodges. Like, we don't have a upgrade that would increase the Blade resistance of the Batsuit, although it seems kind of crazy that the Batsuit wouldn't just have that built in. Ooh, I had like a 13-hit combo there. But it ended because I just don't have enough people. And see, that's the problem, is if you really wanted to get like a 20-hit combo, you would have to have a massive amount new thing from the Joker. Guess it's this one.
You have one missed call.
Ring, ring. I was just remembering when it first occurred to me. It was about 6 months after you left me on that rooftop back at the asylum. As the bones knitted back together, I had plenty of time to think. So how do you keep a secret from the world's greatest detective? Well, do you know? It's easy. You stick it right in front of him, right under his long, pointy nose, and wait.
So it feels like Joker's gonna reveal that he's the bad guy. That seemed like a fairly pointless call, but
And the plant lady. Man, those two are hot.
there's not enough dialogue of random bad guys for them to throw in that line of dialogue and objectify both Poison Ivy and Catwoman. Because they're barely characters in the first place at this point. We've barely even seen them. So we now know it's been at least 6 months since the first game. Which, when you start to get into like the timeline of Batman, it is always this increasingly small timeline, because you can't have Batman, or more importantly the younger Robins, grow up. Like 6 months is nothing for like a 30-year-old Batman, which I assume that's where you're putting him, somewhere in the mid-30s. But it is quite a lot for a Robin. Now remember, this map is not that big, so
All visitors should be sure to check out
have a big robotic dinosaur. And then we have some hostiles, 3 unarmed, and then but there's a 4th person. Yeah, one of the interesting character developments of Batman is he is kind of obsessed with dinosaurs, or likes dinosaurs. That's about the only character design, characterization they've given him, other than being obsessed with beating up people. There's an updraft here. Like that really is Batman's superpower, is that he is just an obsessive person and basically crazy.
You're not asking. Bigwood knows what you are. He just wants us to teach you a lesson.
Okay. So you have these. We have these flying things.
You're all the same to me. Look at my eye picture. I'm gonna take this knife and slowly peel the skin off of your pig face.
So you can walk on these swinging things.
One by one. I'm not scared of you. Do your worst. It will kill you.
There's a couple of something in there. I don't know if I'm going to be fighting robot people.
He's responsible for 63 missing people. He likes hurting people too much to stop. Look out! It's the bat!
And see, throwing 3 guys, one of which can have a knife, is not much of anything. Like, I suppose the B and then X for a beat down. Ooh, that's something new. B and X. Alright, so we got 2 knife guys. And I guess it's just my combat armor that... Well, I guess that beatdown ability can get you high combos, and high combos might get you more experience, but it honestly feels like it's more a case that nothing gets you high combos. So we have dead people, and then a bunch of buttons that we can press, which maybe there's going to be a puzzle to this.
You're safe for now.
Thank God.
You may want to hold off on thanking him until after you've answered my question. Who are you?
Sorry, man. I'm a cop. Gordon sent us in here. I'm from the 13th Precinct, part of the strike team. Been in here since the beginning.
If Gordon sent you, you'll know the code.
Oh, yeah. He said, oh, man, what was it?
The code. Now.
It's Sarah. He said to tell you the code is Sarah.
You're safe, officer.
It's Jones, Batman. Elvis Jones.
Gordon always said he planned on sending your team in.
Yeah, he wanted to know what was going on in here. I guess we found out. There were 10 of us. Hopefully, there still are.
I told Gordon it was too dangerous to send you in. Stay here. If the rest
It's
of your
kind
team
of bad
is alive,
writing
I'll find them.
to have Batman just telling this random guy, I told Gordon this was too dangerous. Batman definitely feels like he is the person who thinks he's in charge. So we're in the museum, and apparently this museum is going to get bigger than it first seemed. Alright. And we have new Jim Gordon. This is a fine depiction of Jim Gordon, although clearly they didn't do anything special with his body model. That's just a generic person in a coat. That limits us down to 2 more friendlies and several more enemies. Maybe we'll have some Catwoman specific enemies that show up too. This looks very weird as far as a museum. Like, seems almost like a museum made out of bad guys instead of a museum that would be educational in any way. And then there seems to be these piles of bones, which don't really make a lot of sense. Just seems like, why would you be able to scan a pile of bones? This guy has extra armor on him, which I guess is a new thing. And so we don't even know. We don't even know if there is any riddles in this area. There's 8 riddles. Okay. But we wouldn't know what the riddles are. So it'd be kind of silly to try and just take a picture of everything. Really just feels like we're gonna spend a lot more time here. Alright, let's just start with pressing a button.
This will be the jewel in my collection. Coming soon. The Batman.
So this is penguins redecorated, I guess, is what we take from this.
Take a good look into the eyes of the monster. A deeply disturbed killer. A man responsible for the murder and subsequent men, women, and children. You're looking at Zaz.
So I guess Zaz may have been in there at one point. So this could have been a vertical slice. We'll just take a picture of everything. Yeah, vertical slices, in case you don't know what those are, they're kind of demos that are used to show off a game while it's in production. I could see this being one where you are in a relatively enclosed area instead of the open world area, and you're showing off all the characters you would want in your game. Although I'm not sure how much of a vertical slice you even really would need for the sequel in the game. So, Penguin doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman. There's just a ton of money on the ground, too. In front of him.
The joke is definitely on these losers. Tell me, what do I need to do to stop you sending these goons into my own Joker? Kill you.
See, I don't know if that's a physics issue where that looks like that's breakable, or if that's just another collectible thing that we're going to deal with later.
All visitors must be searched as part of our ongoing commitment to keep
And see, that looks like a real
collection we have on display.
dinosaur or Mothman or insect display.
In the aquatic observation chamber. All visitors with a valid ticket.
That one looks like a real display. That one looks like a real display. These are giant moths. So I think it is probably a hint towards Mothman. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot going on here, though. See, here's... This is Scarface, who controls the puppet, who's in control here, the puppet or the puppeteer. So that was a riddle. Pause now if you want to read this.
Don't send your boys in here, Harley. Next time I'll cut them in two. Look, come to think of it, you'd probably like that, wouldn't you?
Okay, did we look at this one? This one looks like a ninja. And so I don't really get this character.
Now this little mix is a real puzzle. Where did she come from? How did she come into my men before we managed to hold her down and beat her into unconsciousness? All I know is I like her pajamas.
You don't get a good visual here of this. And ninjas attacking Batman are something that happens fairly regularly. This could be Ra's al Ghul. This could be several other ninja people that you just would make up. Theoretically, Batman is trained in many fighting styles, including ninjutsu. So, let's get out of detective mode. Okay. You see something come on. And see we have a gun. And over here we have a penguin. Okay. And so you just can't target those guys. Interesting. You can't hack them. Nope, you still get shot. Some more bones and things. So we can just scan this, I guess, and add that later. But we're not capable of getting it right now. And so that does make it questionable as far as whether we are just straight up exiting, because that looks like an exit to me out this door. It says exit. So either it's an exit that takes us to another part of the museum, or let's see. Interesting. Like, I can't even zoom in enough to see if that's a hack, or I guess it doesn't matter. You walk this way, then you get close enough maybe to that, then you hack it this way. So like, suppose you could have gotten a little confused there. I guess maybe what the idea here is, in the way this might have been programmed, is that there were items that were labeled as bones inside of all of the characters, and we've always been able to see bones inside of the bad guys, and thus we're seeing all the bones of these dinosaurs. Except for there's some weirdness with that, in that almost none of these would actually be bones, or pretty much, I don't think any of them would. It would be like plaster casting and fake things, not real dinosaur bones. And if it was just a density thing, then you would be able to see a lot of other dense things instead of just seeing through things. New recruits this way. So this is a much bigger level in which we're going to try and save people, I guess. In other words, there's just, I don't think, a lot going on. See, here you have somebody that has been made up with skeletal bones, which look like old bones.
I could use a remote-controlled batarang to trigger switches that are out of reach.
Alright, well, let's start with this. And anytime we see anything that even begins to look different, we need to take a picture of it. And see, clearly those dinosaurs are not full of bones. And then there's something up there, so I wonder if we at some point get up to that level. Alright. So, remote electrical charge is now a thing. And I wonder if that's what I'm gonna... Old Dame Bang Batarang. Now see, that's bad physics there, that the wind of the door opening would possibly pull up any kind of garbage on the floor. And clearly there's way too much emphasis as far as garbage on the floor. And I'm a little surprised we even see the batarangs stay on the ground. Let's do a thing here. Let's throw another batarang this way. Did the other one disappear? No. Let's throw another one. We'll just boost these this direction. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 or 4 that you can do. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, as badly as other parts of this engine is programmed, I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of permanent. Like, that you can just have an infinite number until your game crashes. They probably don't have a hard limiter on it, and more it's a case of just when you stop looking. Nope, it's about 5. Okay. That's better programming than I was expecting. And a lot of these voice lines are missing. I'm sure at some point they wanted to have a display and a button for every single area, every single one of these cases, and they were quickly told no, that would be too much dialogue. Was he framed, or does it run in the family? That's the Cobblepot feud. See, and I don't even know anything about the Penguin's family. Like, the Penguin is not a character I've paid a lot of attention to, so pause now if you want to read this. It is cutesy to have him in a sailor outfit as a younger kid. There's just more of these made-up corpses. And see, I don't know if this is just a bad skull texture attached to a bad skeleton texture, if there's more to it than that. Like, some of these bodies are fairly difficult to even see. And so we know that we're setting ourselves up for a big fight. This feels to be a boss fight. So is there anything we can do to prepare for a boss fight at this point? Not really. Blade takedown, I think I do want to grab that next time I get an upgrade. But unless this is a sequence where we're supposed to get captured and we're going to get back to Catwoman, which there would be a considerable amount of Catwoman collectibles I could probably run around and try and get right now. But I don't think Catwoman could get any of the Batman collectibles, so then you still are in a kind of weird position in that way. Let's see, we only have one more area. We know there's a whole bunch of collectibles still to get. Yep, seems like we're gonna just have to beat up people in a gladiator pit. And they're gonna give us another cutscene.
I wouldn't do that if I was you.
So now
Show
they're
them what we got.
now they're wearing the police's uniforms, but they were undercover cops, so I don't know where they got the Department of Correction.
Or me.
It's good character building to
I was
show
only
him
here
willing
for Freeze
to,
and the hostages, but now I'm taking
like,
you down.
showing Penguin as to be a
Aren't you scared?
horrific killer. He has something in his
We're about to find
neck.
Am I
That's
weak?
weird.
Listen, I'm what you might call a collector. If someone wants
He has like
all I think
some
I've
kind of
got
weird
it.
thing around his neck. It's not like a
If I don't have it.
tracheotomy, though.
I'll get it.
Unless it's some
So
kind of
here's the
weird
thing. Back there, I've got a cabinet
fictional
with your name on it,
tracheotomy.
just waiting to be filled. And as luck would have it, here you are, standing just where I want you. So, what do you think?
And he
Are
has
you
like
gonna be a
broken
good boy
glass
and give up
around
nicely?
his eye, using that like a
You're
monocle.
not giving orders here anymore, Cobblepot.
I was hoping you'd say that. Look around you. This horrible bunch of psychopaths are all
So
begging
the
to join
what I
up with
thought
me.
were
But
ravens
unfortunately
or
for them,
Blackwater
I only take the
symbols
best.
are
And
penguins.
today, best
They
means
honestly look
whoever
more like
can kill
ravens.
You come on out, lads. It's initiation time.
Notice how that jumped from a pre-rendered cutscene to
You're waiting for.
to in-game cutscenes and looked way worse. So this would be like one of the best places, I think, to probably try and get a combo, if you can get a combo. The problem still comes down to people trying to hit you and just getting close enough to something always. Like, because you kind of have to point in the right direction with the left stick if you want to make sure you dive in the right area. And see, these are like initiate bad guys, so they're way easier to knock down, which means you still can't get a big combo on them.
You weren't supposed to do that, Batman. You're forcing me to bring out the big guys.
Now, if I recall correctly, these Titan-esque characters,
He doesn't look
you
happy
just
to
hit them
see
with a
you,
batarang when they charge
Good
you
luck.
and hit them in the wall, and then maybe punch them in the back. If this is Ultra Stun, which is just hitting them 3 times, then it sure doesn't look like much as far as a different ability. Alright. I guess maybe. Okay, I'm using the electric gun, assuming that that was the Ultra Stun, but that wasn't it. So here we have. So 1, 2, 3 to get this guy stunned. And then we want to get on this guy. Alright, let's see. Alright. So, yeah.
Someone cut the mask off his face. No need to be gentle.
It seems like you have to super stun him fairly quickly and watch your damage, and difficulty mode here of just normal still feels to be too difficult. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and then beat down, and then Titan charge in this general direction, and then Titan shockwave, and all I can really do otherwise is well, I just got the 20 hit combo, 30 hit combo. Well, I guess you now know how to get the combos in these games. In this, is you. $35 hit combo. Can we hit a 50 hit combo? Hit combo. Honestly, if there is any challenge around doing more than a 50 hit combo, that would be fairly insane. I got an achievement for beating that fight. That gave me 1,320 XP. Alright.
I found Penguin.
And Mr. Freeze.
Odd little pause there.
The cure yet?
Not yet. The situation is worse than I thought. Penguin has a supply of the Titan formula.
He's got what? How do you get Titan off Arkham Island? What's going on
Oracle
here?
just
Your
popping
sense
in
bio
out of
readings are spiking.
nowhere.
Nice of you to join us, Oracle. Alfred, bring Barbara up to speed.
Of course.
But
Why
I'll
call
be in
her
touch.
Oracle and then say her real name out loud? The whole point of the code name is to not spill it. Batman is an idiot here, clearly, because anybody hiding around a corner hearing Barbara goes, "Oh, I now know Oracle's first name is Barbara." That limits the possibilities. I could just go down the phone book and kill every Barbara I know. And it wouldn't be too hard to figure out that Gordon's daughter is named Barbara. Like, if Oracle said, "Don't worry, Bruce, we'll get this done," I think Batman, in most instances, would be very upset with her for saying that. It's kind of crazy, I think, to also bring in Oracle at this point. I need to figure out where I'm aiming first before I try anything here. Like, I think I'm going all the way around. This is, I think, some pure insanity here. I don't know if that needed to be electrified. Saying you just can't climb up here because of barbed wire. Which seems
That
kind
fuse box is providing power to the gates. If I overload it somehow, the fuses should blow and the locks will be disabled.
Good to know. Just tag things. And so you have this like big old weapon, but the Titan didn't use that weapon. Which, that's weird. So the only other thing I could think is if we go to the remote controlled battering and go this way. Nope, there's nothing there. It's just an exit. Seemingly I could also run back to where we are. If there was a real reason to do that. So they just are basically locking you into this. Like, you would have had to have been able to throw the remote controlled batarang through this all the way around to hit that. And they wanted you to see that it was electrified when you did that, because clearly there's going to be another puzzle that we run into fairly quickly that highlights that. Seems like there's you would also almost think that this would be a thing. So can we get the right angle to scan? Like, I'm trying to scan the Riddler thing and it's not visible. And you're not going to be able to throw a batarang through a window or anything like that. And then we just have drowned people and drowned people. Yeah, I could see all the text things ending up being on podiums like this, but that really wouldn't feel right in a Batman game, so I'm glad they didn't do that, and instead they just had you get Arkham stories when you did something worthy of unlocking an Arkham story. We're not even having to scan the Arkham we're not even having to scan the Arkham symbols, which were a whole thing in themselves. Alright, well, up we go, and we'll just explode this. Can we jump over the ledge? No. So down we go. Climb up here. There we go. Of course, that's not really how elevators work, but whatever. Every time we find a thing like this, we want to see if we can find anything else of interest. Like, there could be a penguin. It's so dark. Like, I don't even understand why you would bother to depict a person and then have it so incredibly dark. Yeah, the little penguins don't really make any noise or anything, so it seems like it would be fairly easy to accidentally miss out on collectibles, and unless we get that scanner at some point, which maybe we'll get a scanner, maybe we won't. I could definitely see that this game is simple enough that you really wouldn't need that. We haven't done one of these grapple points in a long time. Like, this idea only makes sense in the steel mill area and a few other areas. What is this? Mechanical guardians never sleep. I have no idea what Wonder City would be. Yeah. And we get into sequences like this and it really just feels like they're trying to remind us of the gameplay mechanics that already exist, Terrors of the Deep, instead of just remind us of what we could already have done earlier, if we had forgotten. Primeval. So we have no reason to like search the dead guy's body. And we assume that those are like dead guys, dead cops, and not that Penguin is pulling a fast one and dressing Batman and like dressing his own bad guys in outfits to make them look like cops. So that just made a shortcut. Is there anything more to the shortcut? To be concerned with? This is the water one we had already seen.
That fuse box is providing power to the gates. If I overload it somehow, the fuses should blow and the locks will be disabled.
But how would I even do that? There's just these like two areas over here that seem like you can't really get to unless there was some hole or transition point that I'm just not recognizing. Maybe there is. Well, that was awkward, to say the least, but that is obviously the right move.
A batarang will hold enough charge to overload the fuse box.
Okay. Where is... There is a straight up U-turn ability. Interesting. So, wow, that straight up does just U-turn. Interesting.
batarang will hold enough charge to overload the fuse box.
Yeah, where's the electricity though? Like, it would be fairly insane to have to go get the electricity from that previous area. And this is crazy that the glass... Is there literally no other electrified area? Like, because that just seems so ridiculous that you would have to... Like, I don't even have electricity anymore. So I couldn't turn it on again. I hear a static electricity sound. Right in this area. It would be kind of silly to be up here. Like... Wow. So it straight up is a puzzle where sometimes we will end up having to send a double hack in. So you don't want to hit anything here. And arguably, maybe if you throw it now, you can go through this path a little bit easier. I think I would have worked there. That would have worked. It just... slightly off. I don't know if either one of these are particularly any easier. Like, they're slightly easier, I'll give them that. Like, that's not an easy shot by any means. Electric, electric, electric. Curve, slow down. Come through here. Slow down. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on it to see if maybe it's losing its electrical charge through the long distance. I don't know why it would specifically lose its electrical charge. It didn't seem like... I think I am just missing that this is not a system that is as great as I think they would have wanted it to be. Yeah. Just a lot of extra work there, and then we'll just go ahead and unhack this and hope that we don't need to ever turn that on again. I could see a lot of people also just ignoring that stuff completely and just going, oh, I'll get it later, or I don't care about the collectibles. Clearly we are leveling up pretty much everything, because all of a sudden I have like 3 what feels like more armor. We're just looking for anything and everything that might possibly be a riddle, but its odds are fairly low, I think, that anything would be a riddle. Like, this is the first area where we've started to see some fairly unique art, and that unique art is proving itself to just be unique art. So this Iceberg Lounge, at some point, I guess we might explode it open and drain the Iceberg Lounge. Alright. There was something I noticed when I was flying over here, that up on... Well, I thought I saw this. What is this? It's just a red cord or rope. And it was flying up on that when I threw the batarang at it. For no reason. It's just like random things, apparently. I thought there might be more of a secret there, but I guess not. We have yet to get to a point where being immune to electricity is going to happen. I imagine that will happen after we beat the penguin and those water elements. That would certainly make a lot of sense. So, how much progress did we make today? We have 15 more collectibles to collect as far as Riddler trophies, and we definitely got emphasized on the fact that we are going to have to throw the remote control batarang through electricity more often than I thought we would, or that we could do it at all. We still haven't figured out what these 7 star symbols are, but if I was to guess, if we look at the officers, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. So if they kill one more officer, or if we've already saved one officer, which we have, then that might be what the star symbols are. And this might introduce the idea that there are undercover police officers that will be in danger throughout the rest of the game. There's 5 of the Catwoman trophies too, and 6 riddles. So it feels like it's going to be a fairly big area. Interesting, it said connecting to the back computer there, like it was a loading screen. So we now have 1 more submission that's unlocked, and so there is still 4 side missions to do. and plenty of opportunity to continue down the path of the other side missions. They're not really making it super doable. See, each one of those like things that just popped up, I don't know if those are markers of collectibles that were already on the map, or if that was straight up an animation that was hinting at where all the side missions would be. That seems like that would be too many things for side missions. At some point, I feel like I'm going to have to just sneak back into the steel mill. I imagine the game itself will push us towards doing that anyways. But I think that's, since that was pretty much the first area we went into, or the second area, we went into the, well, it was actually the third area, wasn't it? We went into the Solomon Wayne Courthouse, and then the Churchless Medical Center. Then we worked our way towards this, and then there was the Gotham City Police Department, but there was also a building that I guess is really just a small area, not considered a full building, where Bane was. So here's our depiction of Oracle. Notice they don't even bother showing some of these characters from the front. So this would have been a point where Oracle would have been shot by somebody, whether it was Joe Cool or the Joker, whether or not, depending on the story, the Joker is Joe Cool or not. It's all very nebulous depending on which reboot of Batman you're talking about. But Batgirl as Oracle getting is kind of not a good character. It's sidelining a character to have a younger, like, computer oriented character, where Alfred and the Bat computer itself was supposed to be that computer oriented helper, and you're sidelining the only Batgirl that has pretty much ever existed, to my knowledge at least, when in the same run of Batman stories you've had 3 or 4 different Robins. So it would have been way less sexist, for lack of a better term, to have one of the Robins decide to be more of a computer guy instead of getting rid of Batgirl. And nowadays, when Batgirl is used, they definitely don't want her to be Oracle and trapped in a wheelchair. And so they had to jump through a lot of hoops to fix that. What that tells me is we will never really see Oracle, even though she was in the first game. Maybe we'll see in a cutscene from this perspective, but I doubt even that. And we have one more friendly character, which I assume this is just Batgirl. The Titan formula, that being something kind of unique to the Arkham Asylum universe, it would make a lot of sense that the Titan formula could potentially heal Oracle and bring her in as more of a playable character. But I don't know if you even really want her to be a playable character, because as soon as she turns around, does she have cleavage and belly showing, and is she just another overly sexualized character? Yeah. You really have to question a lot of the logic here as comics increasingly die. The for lack of a better term, toxic masculinity in the comics universe definitely didn't increase their viewership with the female demographic. It did not really increase their viewership with the male demographic much either. If anything, I recall even when comics were kind of at their heydays, like mid 80s, mid 90s, when there was a lot of speculation and the idea of comic books being something that really could get popular and be worth something. Even at that point, most comic book fans that I knew were incredibly pedantic and childish and would just argue over things over and over again. And I'm not sure that that's changed even now. Like, one would hope that a new generation of 10-year-olds reading comics, which, in all fairness, that's probably who comics should be targeted to, that they would be less argumentative and childish. But, I mean, you're talking about 10-year-olds there. If anything, there is a theory you could propose as far as comics locking 10-year-olds into a 10-year-old mentality instead of having them grow up and enjoy like more mature content or entertainment, or just not be as annoying. So this is that new Ultra Stun, which I guess we can just do that now on anything. And I don't know if we would ever really want to Ultra Stun anything other than a Titan. But yeah, if anything, I would say the comic book creators are as much sufferers from that childishness, that childish attitude, more than anything. And I guess childishness and toxic masculinity are slightly different things, but they sometimes feel very similar. That's really why I would be much more happier playing Lego Batman, which is much more kid-friendly and much more fair on the characters it shows, or even a newer cartoon series that is targeted more towards kids, like the DC Superheroines character. Of course, even making a cartoon called DC Superheroines runs into the problem of the show potentially being overly emphasized on girl superheroines to the point where there's just like no men at all. And then you potentially, if you were to make a game, they did make a Switch game around it. And I'm not sure if it's good or not. You run into the point of a bad game being made because they just don't care about it, and it becomes something like a Barbie's horse riding video game. Achieve a 5x variation bonus in one combat encounter. That's going to be difficult. Wanted to look at all of this. Aerial attack off a stunned enemy into another 3 times. There's no telling how many of these we've already done, if any. Use a slide to trip an enemy 3 times. I guess I could focus on one thing at a time. Perform a beatdown to finish an enemy 5 times. Counter an enemy projectile 3 times. I don't even know how you do that. Hit an explosive object with a batarang before it's thrown. I don't think we even have characters that have explosive items yet. And then, let's see. Use combo batarang in combat 10 times. Back claw slam 5 times. Do we even have that ability? Quickfire remote electric charge during combat 5 times. We could focus on that. Quickfire explosive gel combo 5 times. I don't know really how you activate some of these things. Finish a fight with a combo batarang. I may not have the combo batarang yet. Or maybe I do. Remote electric charge to force an enemy to hit another enemy 3 times. I've done that a couple times. The blast one armored thug into another. And then we just have like more gadgets needed. Grapnel boost takedown. So this gadget challenges, if anything, fly a fully boosted batarang into a thug and send him flying through the air. I probably could do that. Knockout smash. Do you have to potentially do 5 knockout smashes in one fight? That would be kind of crazy. Backpack jammer device. We haven't even seen those. Back claw disarm. I've tried to do that several times. Like a lot of these abilities don't balance out well because like you can't really perform them. Like I would definitely have to come back and like look at this and then do left trigger, right trigger. No, it's left trigger Y. Okay, so what I need to do is left trigger Y a lot more in fights. It's kind of crazy. You have like a different number in the top right, and it doesn't really explain what that number is. Because clearly the top right, when you're looking at riddles, means I've gotten 129 of 440 collectibles in total. Whereas looking at the top right here is telling me that I've got almost enough XP to level up again. Clearly, there's still a lot of gadgets. At least 3 more gadgets will unlock. Plus upgrades, which I guess I just am going to have to upgrade the Batarang more and more. It probably is better to do that than upgrade anything else at the moment. Unless I want to take the blade takedown. That was my next thought. Yeah, and we're still not really able in a good way to exit out and check the percentage that we're done with the game, but I suspect that percentage is still somewhere. Now I would be a little surprised if it was over 55%. I wouldn't be surprised if the percentage is more about how many collectibles you've found, and thus it's closer to 25%. I would be very surprised if we are somewhere around 12 or lower in the percentage. Storyline wise, it still feels like we have only a few more people that we're going to have to fight and a few more locations that we can visit. At most, there could be 3 more buildings in the restricted area. It doesn't seem like there is going to be an underground area of any significant distance. It doesn't feel like the entire city is going to change that much. I vaguely recall that it's in one of these games it does snow, and I don't know if that's just it snowed and thus the environment is different. That could be the 3rd game. Or maybe halfway through this game we do get a big Mr. Freeze snowstorm and that changes the environment of the world a lot. I don't know how it would really change the world that much, though. Not for Batman. I mean, maybe it keeps him on the ground more, but then that doesn't feel like Batman. Maybe it keeps him in the air more. Then you can't really do the fights. That would be fine with me if there was something that changed it, where there was just a lot less bad guys in the open world, and you just could avoid those random encounters, because the random encounters aren't really giving you enough experience to be worth it. It would be insane to play this game where you are running around the open world just grinding to max your level out. I wouldn't be surprised if there is even thoughts of a New Game Plus in this, where you start the game with all of your levels anyways, and maybe even a New Game Plus at a higher difficulty, and that just allows you to get all the collectibles you missed way quicker. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.